This is The Open Podcast, where your host, Sander Mangel, and his guests share strategies and insights to help digital agencies thrive in a changing world. In this episode, Sander talks with Jorg Weidig, commercial sales and marketing strategist at Worldline.
Welcome back. This is episode 2 of account-based marketing. So if you are dropping into episode 2, go back and start first with episode 1. Otherwise, you're going to miss a lot of context. With me again is Jorg Weidig. He is commercial sales and marketing strategist at Worldline. You're also working for some smaller companies, so we're going to reference a lot Worldline, but also some other cases you've worked on. This podcast is based on the presentation we did at Emer's B2B Digital in Rotterdam. Today, we're going to go through phase 4 through 6 of account-based marketing. So let's maybe start it off with the engage phase. We know what they're looking at. We know what they want. We have their deepest desires. Now we start to engage your phase 4, the engagement phase. What are we doing there? How are we curating our outreach?
So I think then we need to talk to another nice marketing theme, that is the buyer journey. We talked about buyer group, but it's also about the buyer journey. Think, maybe it's a no-brainer for a lot of people in this call, but let's say we have 3 phases in this buyer journey, which is the consideration. I actually start with awareness stage. It's the consideration phase where people are considering your brand, and then it's the decision stage. So there's 3. And in all these phases, to my opinion, you should have different content or different types of content. But let me first go back to what I think I did not mention yet. We are a firm believer, or I am a firm believer, that we need to introduce the word personalization and hyper-personalization. If you want to encourage someone to go for your brand, it is better to build the relationship based on personalization than. So in all these things, hyper-personalization is important. So let us go to the creation of tools, of creation of content, and also content is king here. If you do the awareness phase, then the people you are trying to target, so the ideal customer profile and the buyer group, they are searching not yet for you, but they are searching for a solution for their challenge, for their uitdaging in Dutch, but for their challenge. So what they are then doing is they're using these tools, you know what I told you, in prompt we are searching for, we have challenge X we want to have. So in this first phase, what we call the awareness phase, you have content that is not promoting your brand as such, but that is promoting, is talking about challenges, what is in the market, what are the answers to that, all that kind of things. So white papers, infographics about the topic, maybe a webinar on the topic itself. And for example, white papers, how do you use AI? It's not about that our content writers are not good, but the AI tools are helping them to write a very high level thought leadership piece, really focused on that personal job functions. So there we are using that kind of tools. So also we are using our own LinkedIn. So that's in the awareness phase. So then it is about the consideration phase. The consideration phase is, so in a group of company, the buyer group is talking about this is our challenge we need to do. So they have found some nice content. Now they are going to search for a company, a provider who's having that solution. And there you want to be. So you want to be at least at what we call the short list. So in these kind of phases, you can do webinars about the topic, but you can already go a little bit further in the solutions you provide. So it's good fact sheets, good demos. Maybe demo is still too soon, but high level demos. One of your product people or some marketing manager talking in front, all these kind of things. Also in the events, when you do it offline, you go there and you show what it is. So that's the consideration phase. And at the end of the day, you want to be in the selection. So becoming from in the consideration, you are the top 6. And then they say, okay, I want to talk to the short list. And there is the phase where you probably want to give a really good demo, where you want to have a reference so that someone who is already customer, you can talk to that. So that's a total different topic than what you do in the awareness phase. So in all these phases, it's important. But again and again and again, let's go to the awareness. If the people searching 89 is already searching, make sure that, and that can everybody in this viewer room, make sure that your website is visible for AI tools.
And I think this point was driven home in our previous episode with Martin Harris from Tank, a British agency. He specializes in geo, and what he was saying is what is most important is brand authority, right? Getting your brand out there, because yes, the content is important, that it gets indexed, and if they're searching for what payment methods are common in Poland. I'm just doing a world line. Right. So that's where your content gets indexed, but that doesn't really state the source. When it states the source is when someone asks, okay, now I get it. Now give me the top 5 providers that give me this specific payment method in Poland, right? And that's where your brand needs to be indexed and needs to have also the authority signals like reviews, backlinking, and that kind of stuff mentions in AI, right?
And what he calls brand authority, that is absolutely, I fully agree with him. And that's what we call in the content phase thought leadership content, where you are using, and then it's not so much about that we are great, but that we are knowing what we are talking about. And of course we are great. So that's why, but the people should actually get out.
That's a given.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the classical buyer's journey, awareness stage, consideration stage, decision stage, that is really shifting to AI. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So we already spoke a little bit about doing your webinars, having your website in order, going to events, shaking hands, kissing babies, all that good stuff. But then we get to the decision session. That's much more hands-on, right? Because there you actually run a sequence at Worldline to kind of do that. And if I'm not mistaken, that it's a 45-day sequence, something like 10 touch points. Can you quickly walk me through that sequence and where you leverage AI?
Yeah, let me tell you again, you remember that I was saying in the strategy in the beginning of this predictive growth. So at the end of the day, I want to have a feeling on how many leads do I need to have a conversion to my salespeople. So that is about this. So what we did is, because my team, I have an inside sales team, when leads are generated by the sales or by the marketing team, they are still they download something and etc. So it's not a catch yet. When the lead coming in or you have a download, it means the person was interested, but then it's all about getting their attention and to try to engage with them. So what we did is we built within our CRM a sort cadence, what we call, and my team has to make it a little bit standardized, a same sort of approach. So when a lead comes in from the marketing, it already has been nurtured. It means they downloaded a white paper, they did open a newsletter or whatever. So they did already something in the past. The moment that we take over, it means it's already a little bit warmer, but then it gets, then the fun thing is, and we did in the beginning, we handed over all these leads to sales and sales was knocking on the door and nothing happened. No, because it is all about having a sequence, meaning take up the phone, send a message via LinkedIn, so an email message, an email, and you know the drill. We all know the drill. I download something and then I get called. And I do not want to speak to these folks. No, true. But the moment that you are using in these cadences, so we have an AI agent who helps you to give first sentence, an opening sentence, just as a draft.
Yeah.
But also a first message. And the first message is not always about, hey, I want to speak to you. But it can be, recently you downloaded this webinar or this white paper. Maybe this piece of content is also interested for you. Then you are not pushing for a call, but you are pushing for, maybe you open that as well. And there you build a little bit of your, and we use that, and that you will see in the notes, 45 days where we have a cadence. You pick up the phone, you leave a voicemail. If that's not possible, you leave an email. Then you wait, then you connect via LinkedIn, you send an email. And for all these phases, we have several pieces of content where it's not immediately sales, because it's not about sales yet. It is about getting their attention. And there I come again. If they see you are the thought leader, because I received, when they are going to consider, they say, okay, these guys, they sent me a nice white paper.
Yeah.
I was interested in another piece of content. So that's what your previous guest told about being authority. And at the end of the day, these 45 days, it's just a cadence, but it also helps. Just one small thing there. If my team has 200 leads in their funnel, so one of my team members, every lead is maybe for a different product. That's one. But also, if you have sent this person already 2 emails, you are with the LinkedIn message. AI helps me to not let the salesperson go into every lead and to see, oh, what did I do? What is the product? Now it already gives them the task for this lead. You talked already, you sent already an email. Today it's time to do an in-mail with this is a draft message which you can already use. So that's why we use the AI. So the 45 days is a cadence. That's what we introduce, so that you have on an eye of a glimpse, you have an idea from what is on my plate, which leads do I need to do today, where they are. But also at the end of the day, the growth, the analyzing on the growth, that I know at the end of the day, and to end this, approximately we need 6 to 10 touch points to get at least a next step. So that's what we do in this touch points cadences.
I think this is so crucial. I think this is where a lot of companies miss the mark, right? Because what you're doing here is converting an MQL, a marketing qualified lead, into a sales qualified lead, right? And that is not about getting that sales call. That is not about getting that pitch. That is still about inspiring them, earning trust, earning confidence, doing the knowledge sharing, right? Really driving home that you are an authority, becoming their best friend with a lot of free knowledge share, right? That is the idea to do here, instead of on the second LinkedIn message saying, hey, want to jump on a call? Yeah, no, 100%. I think this is very, very important to drive home because a lot of people do get eager, right? You finally are talking to them. Let's make sure that we convert them.
Yeah, and let me to be honest also, when I start, and I have a real background, I was also being trained by Forrester, one of the biggest sales and marketing consultants. Account-based marketing, what I'm now trying to explain here, and that is all about, it's not short-term. So the moment that you decide to go for account-based marketing, which I'm really embracing, it is going to be a long-term strategy, because it's like in real time, if we are in love, you are not in love for the one moment, it costs time. So building relationships. So when I do account-based marketing processes, also with smaller companies, they expect within 1 month results. It's not the holy grail, we need to have, you need to focus on this one. And focus means for maybe a year. And the cool thing is that in this year, you will see results, but the results you get out of it are real more warm leads than these lower cold leads, which the salesperson says, yeah, but you're sharing leads with me, I cannot do anything with it. So it's also about long-term strategy, but I really firmly believe in this approach, because you are continuously focusing on the right ICP with the right buyer group. True.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we warmed them up. We have a good influx of relevant leads. And then we roll into phase 5, the handoff phase. You mentioned you're using a framework for that. Which one are you using?
Yeah, there are different, but the most recognizable, I think everybody heard about BAND. BAND stands for budget, authority, needs, and time frame. So when marketing is generating leads, is promoting campaigns, etc., the inside sales team of the people who needs to take the lead over and try to open the door needs to have at least defined what is now our ICP, what is the relevant. So if you are targeting, for example, mid-sized companies and you have a catch on a smaller company, it's fine, of course, But again, the salesperson or the sales organization is really looking forward to the ones who are qualified in the best possible way. So how does that go? And that is not only about your company, but it's also per product. So we have a range of we have within Worldline 4 product divisions, and in every product division we have several solutions. So each solution has their own ideal customer, meaning that when we start reaching out for that particular solution, my team knows exactly what kind of questions. And in these first questions, it is not that you get all the information, because when I call you to talk, you are definitely not going to say what your budget is, of course, but we can find out if you have authority. Is it really something we need to convince? If there is a need, you talk. So that's the band qualification. So when we have a lead and we are touching, it is 45 days, and we have a catch, we make a call or we have a conversation, and they are open for a first introduction call. That introduction call, you're going to get out a little bit of the band criteria. But that's per solution. And that's when we know that and we have the answers on 1, 2, or 3. We think, okay, this is really relevant. Then we hand it over to our salespeople. We are including ourselves in the first appointment because we are the ones who are, thank you very much. We talked or we had a conversation. This is me. Here we have my expert, because I think it's all about that thought leader. So I brought an expert on this topic, and then we handed it over, and then our process stops. But guess what? I am really interested in what's happening then. So is the opportunity open? Where are the opportunities? And if they are closing in a win, that's fantastic. Most of the time it's also that they close, but we lost that deal. Then it's important to know what is the reason why we lost. Is it competitors' information, that kind of thing. So the handover is indeed there. My responsibility stops, but my responsibilities don't stop with getting feedback from the sales team. So why didn't you make a proposal? Why did it stop in this first? And then you get the discussion between sales and you sent me a stupid lead. It's all about learning, that kind of things.
Yeah, and we did an episode on Band, Medic, and all those frameworks early on in the podcast, so we'll link it in the show notes as well. I think here I do want to call out where a feature like in HubSpot, you have the summary of an account where that really shines, right? And that's why we always drive home the point to clients, put everything into HubSpot or Salesforce or what have you, because it gives you that summary on, you discussed this, you discussed that, they didn't really respond to this, right? It's so important to make sure that, again, to your point, garbage in, garbage out, make sure that you have high quality notes in your CRM that kind of, when you do that handover, the salesperson will not ask the same stuff over and over again.
But I'm going to make a laugh here because you see me already laughing. I used to work also for an American company, and there was the rules very strict. If it's not in Salesforce, it's not in Salesforce. And sometimes the Americans are really horrible, but I love that. And from a marketing perspective, and I know that a lot of listeners here in this podcast will laugh as well. Salespeople don't like to put everything in Salesforce because it's all administration, but it is so crucial. So I really am an ambassador of that. And not only between sales and marketing, but how cool is it if you lost a deal, but you put the reasons in the profile why you lost your deal. That's so crucial information for product as well.
Yeah. Well, and being on the side of the implementation team often, right, there is nothing better than to get a briefing from your sales team saying, hey, this is what we sold, right? These are the promises we made, and this is what you need to index on instead of going through that very painful during implementation.
Can I make one example, real-time example? I used to work for a telecom expense management company. It was my own company, and we tried to sell telecom consultancy to bigger companies. So I always use the example of SAP. We know it's it's the biggest, and they are headquartered in Germany. And I was trying to find the relevant people for telecom expense management. And we were sending white papers, and I saw SAP people downloading these things. And at the end of the day, because it was in Salesforce, and that time we used also HubSpot, we found out that the person which we tried to encourage to get in touch was really not working in Germany. He came from Ireland. So at the moment that we received that and it was in Salesforce, I really was able to make a phone call to that guy in sales, and then the fun starts. So it's really important. That's a real-time example. I always like to use that one. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. So we have made the sale. There are a client. The fun doesn't stop there, as we already said in the intro. We go into the retargeting phase where you actually use all that gained knowledge and kind of do a rinse and repeat, right? We start to re-engage that customer.
Yeah. And also the ones who were coming in as a lead, we did the touch points. We did not result in anything because it was 45 days. We bring them back because, again, maybe they were in the beginning in the phase, but at the end of the day, when they're popping back, that means that they are top of mind. So they come back to us. So it's a circle, Bring them back to nurture, let marketing do their role. And at the end of the day, if they're popping up again, they download another piece of thing, then as something, it's a signal, it's an intent signal. That's it.
Yeah, perfect. So that brings us to the end of our 6-phase flow. Let's maybe summarize a little bit to recap 5 guiding principles of high impact outreach. I think during our presentation also for in Rotterdam, we highlighted a couple of ones is consistency, team-wide process, right?
Yeah.
That's what you drive home as well. The messaging needs to be on point through every channel. It always needs to be the same tone of voice, speaking of the same products. The multi-channel engagement is something that you keep reinforcing, where it's not just LinkedIn, it's not just phone, it's all across the spectrum, having those white papers online. The optimized touch frequencies, I think, really shines through your whole conversation, right? So it's fine to have many touch points as long as they're relevant and not just repeats on, hey, did you see my message from last week? Or
it's going to annoying you, That's why we say personalization is important. So it's not about in a relationship, you need to build trust. So it's about relevancy and personalization. Yeah, true.
Yeah, and I think on the personalization, right? If I don't reply to a white paper, maybe invite me to a webinar the next week, right? That's
and the cool thing is when they join that webinar, hey, they are still interested, and then it's still not important to make a call. No, they were there, so they were listening to your webinar. And the cool thing with webinar tools, you can also see how long people are staying. So if they are staying the whole thing, it's really cool.
Yeah, perfect. And then maybe the last one, and I think we align there, is put everything in one place. Make sure you have that central repository to track so that you can also use it for automation, right? I think HubSpot is now really indexing on AI as well as Salesforce, building a lot of MCP integrations, right? The APIs that you can integrate with your ChatGPT, with your Claude. So if you are in Claude, you can actually have a conversation with Claude. Give me the top 3 customers that I'm engaging and give me the next sales pitch that I need to run, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's having that centralized is important.
Yeah.
So, after hearing all of this, should I be firing my entire sales and marketing team?
So this is really funny, because and we all marketers, but I think it's in a lot of branches now. AI is going to fire all the people. I hear it every day, and I hear it. I'm not a believer of that. I think, of course, jobs will change, but the ones who are knowing how to work with these tools are going to be the future, because that's what it's important. But we are not using these to get rid of people. I think we even need more people, but it is making the work of these people all more efficient. How cool is it that you do not have to sit down, lead number 1, what did I tell there? So that it is all going to be doing the job for you. So it's not about getting rid of people, and in some cases in operational things it is true, but it is way better to use these tools, to make use of it, so that you really can focus on what really matters, is getting the right content, making use of your day so that you do not need to go in every lead. It is working for you. So no. It is about people who know to work with these tools, and it is about efficiency. And at the end of the day, it is making your job easier, On the other hand, maybe I know that we are going to the end. I also see, and I also have that spaghetti every day on what can I do with all these tools. And there's spaghetti, fantastic. And probably we hope that we inspired a lot of people, but also don't do everything at the same time. Define for yourself these steps. So that's what I also said. But no, it's not about leaving people. Of course, it is about being more efficient, being more strategical, being focused. That's why these tools are helping you way better than it does at the previous years.
Absolutely. I think that are some very powerful closing notes. We will keep on the marketing team indeed. And I want to thank you so much for joining us. We got through it. We got through all the 6 phases. For the listeners at home, we are sharing slides. We are sharing some more insights through the show notes on LinkedIn. And I think those slides really paint a good picture on the different kinds of tooling that you use, different types of frameworks. So thank you very much, Jor.
Thank you so much for the invite. I really appreciate it. Thank you.